Hey there, Nate here with the Volunteer Tech Vlog on the Live Sound 101 YouTube channel. Coming to you with a media report for March 6th, 2016. Alright, I had the pleasure of running audio today with Seth on video. So I was the audio tech, Seth was the video tech, and Seth is doing a great job. So it was a good day. Uneventful service. I think for the most part, the tech was invisible. In other words, the tech did not draw attention to itself, so that's kind of like a main goal that we're striving for. But here's the quick rundown. So the biggest thing, I think, was that the USB port that is at the video workstation. So we've got a USB extender that goes back to our Pro Presenter PC. Our PC that's dedicated to running the presentation software on Sunday morning. We've got a USB extension out at the keyboard, mouse, and monitor, so you can just take a thumb drive and pop it right in without having to walk, 25 feet over to the rack. It just makes usability a little bit easier. But those extended USB ports were not functioning. So Seth was popping in his USB drive, and it was not registering. So almost in panic mode, but then I chimed in and was, let's try something else. So I took the stick, walked over, stuck it into the computer, the faceplate, the front panel of that PC. There's one USB port, and it worked fine. So tragedy diverted there. So we didn't have any problems. Seth got up and running, but we didn't do any more investigation as to why the USBs at the workstation were not functioning. So more investigation is required. My guess is that somebody kicked the cable and something just came unplugged. It's usually something that simple, or something was, turned off or something like that. But didn't want to do a lot of troubleshooting this morning, so we'll have to look into that. The next thing, so software audio console. Now talking about audio, software audio console, or SAC as we call it, auto start. So when you reboot the computer, turn on the computer, do a restart, SAC launches automatically. Now, one thing I noticed is after it auto started, the menu bar at the top of the screen, where you can go live and you can see the percentage of CPU, and you can jump to the inputs, the outputs, the returns. There's not the menu bar with like the drop down menus like file, option, mix, all those types of things. There's like the main menu bar at the top. Underneath that, there's like a thicker part of the software that gives you some status about what's going on. That part didn't load completely. It did this weird thing where I'm used to seeing what it looks like all the time, and I could definitely tell something didn't look right, and all I could see was that go live button, and everything else was like just missing or invisible. So the software failed to load correctly. So I closed it and restarted the software, and it came up fine. So that leads me to believe that maybe we should not do this auto start thing. Something is going funny when the auto start happens. In the past, we've had multiple instances of SAC running that caused problems. I've got lengthy videos on that that I've recorded previously. So maybe there's something with the auto launcher that automatically starts the program. Maybe that script isn't quite configured properly. Not sure. But I am inclined to think that we should just have part of our normal operating procedure be, turn on the computer, you just get your desktop, and then you manually go down and click on that SAC icon and bring up software audio console. That's kind of what I'm thinking would be a better thing, because I knew something was wrong right off the bat, but maybe not everybody would. Don't know. Okay, let's talk dB levels real quick. So during rehearsal, I have been very careful to hit that reset button on the dB meter. And what's useful about that is when you hit the reset button, it records the max dB level recorded. Right? So during rehearsal, I hit that button, they played all the songs, and the max level recorded, dB-SPL A-weighted, as measured from the back of the room at our standard measurement point. It's fixed, it never changes. Hit 87 dB A-weighted. I should say dB-SPL A-weighted. Okay, so that was during rehearsal, 87. During the 8 a.m. service, we hit 91.6 dB-SPL A-weighted from that same position. During the 1045 service, we hit 93.5 dB-SPL A-weighted. Now, I didn't change anything about the mix. The musicians may have played more, you know, with more intensity. They might have leaned into the microphones a little bit more, but more or less, I mean, that's what we're talking about here is the difference that a room full of people makes singing. So in the, obviously, during the rehearsal, the room was empty. We hit 87. During the 8 a.m. service, the room was half full, less than half full, I would say. We hit 91. And then during the 1045, we had at least 100 people in the room, and we hit 93. So just to give you a frame of reference, when you're trying to mix and you're trying to control levels in the room, the people in the room do absorb sound, but they also generate sound. So we could learn a lot from that. But anyway, I'm going to start paying a little more closely, paying more attention to dB levels in the room. And that was for music. When I say max, that's like when the band hit the loudest passage during the music. That's where it registered. Then for speech, I was targeting 63 dB-SPL A-weighted as measured from the same location. I think 63 to 65-ish, somewhere in that realm, is a comfortable listening level. Next thing, moving down the line, I'll be exploring levels a little bit more. The drum hotspot monitor had the wrong type of cable feeding it. So it had an XLR cable, which is balanced, and then it had an XLR to 1/4 inch, like little adapter on the end. And the problem is it wasn't a balanced adapter. It wasn't a TRS. It was just like a mono, which I'm trying to think of a good situation when I'd actually want to use that type of adapter. But anyway, that I plugged that drum monitor in with the existing cable, and I got all kinds of crazy noise because something wasn't right, and I knew it right off the bat. And so I removed that cable, and I put in, instead of putting a patch cable with a little adapter, I used an adapter cable, which was all one unit. And it worked fine because it was a balanced thing. It was an XLR to, I think, an XLR male to a TRS, tip ring sleeve, which is a balanced 1/4 inch male. And that worked fine. So the drum monitor was there, but Ben was not there playing drums, so he didn't have any drummers. But the hotspot monitor has been updated. It's all good to go. I'm getting a phone call. I'll be back momentarily. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Phone call from the wife. Had to take that one. She's wondering where I am. I better get driving. So the drum hotspot monitor was fixed. Patched that back in. Let's see. I think last minute vocal edition. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. I'm pretty much done with the video, but I better head home, help out my wife. So here's another thing. So we had a last minute addition to the vocals. So this is something that is good for a good lesson for live sound folks. So you can come to rehearsal and get the mix pretty much set up, but you always got to be ready for last minute changes, because there will always be last minute changes, and we can do all kinds of things to try to limit last minute changes and make sure we're as prepared as possible. But the reality is you've got to be flexible. And so there were I needed to add an extra microphone last minute, and it would have been, I guess it probably would have been smart to make sure there was an extra mic up there anyway. That's kind of like a good practice. You know, you get your musicians all set up. You know, maybe you want to have an extra DI or an extra microphone just kind of off to the side, patched in somewhere, so when these things come up, that's a little easier. You know, we've got a stage where there's these, you know, Persian style rugs up there, and sometimes those rugs cover up floor boxes, and trying to patch things in like last minute can sometimes be a real pain, because you think about it, you've got this rug that's covering up the floor box. What's on top of the rug? A guitar stand with a guitar, maybe a music stand, an amplifier, all kinds of stuff sitting on top of this rug. So sometimes it can be not necessarily a quick thing to patch in an extra instrument or microphone last minute. So I would say that's kind of like a good lesson learned, is just make sure you got spare microphones. But also, if you're going to be singing on Sunday morning, it's really helpful to have you at the rehearsal, like really helpful. So for example, Ben was going to be on drums. I didn't know whether he was going to be on drums or not, but I set up a mix for him just in case, just to be prepared. Now Ben ended up not showing up because he couldn't make rehearsal, which makes sense. You know, you're not at rehearsal and you're the drummer, you know, that's a big part of the mix. So Ben wasn't there, but I was prepared for him. But yep, that's one of the challenges you deal with doing live sound. And I think that pretty much wraps it up. Not too much more I could mention in this video. My name is Nate. This is the Volunteer Tech Vlog, and I am heading home as the sun is setting. That's crazy. Video recorded this morning, the sun was coming up, and now even the sun's going down. I wasn't at church the whole day though. I just went to go back and pick up my car. I've been out and about doing different things today. So anyway, I will see you in the next video.